Hello queens and beauties, I'm back with another client tutorial, and for this video y'all, I decided to switch up my routine a little bit, so make sure you watch the full thing just so you can see what I mean. But we're just about to jump right into it. As you can see, I'm starting by cleaning off my model's face, and once I have her face clean, I decided to go ahead and clean up her eyebrows a little bit. To clean up her eyebrows, I'm just using this pink eyebrow archer. You can find this at your local beauty supply store. But I'm only taking the excess hair off the top and some hair that's in between them. Nothing too major at all, y'all. You probably can't really even tell the difference. When I arch people's eyebrows, I don't really like to do too much because I don't want to mess up nobody's eyebrows. But now I'm taking the cotton pad and just removing any excess hair. And then I'm just going to proceed to filling them in. So to fill in her eyebrows, I use my Nicka K eyebrow pencil, and this one is in the shade Black Brown. Now that her brows have been outlined, I like to start filling them in from the back and then just working my way to the front. As y'all can see, she has a pretty nice full brow, so it's not really too much I have to do to them, but her brows are kind of thick and kind of curly. So once I fill them in, I took my eyelash glue and applied it at the end because I use this as like a brow gel. So for those rebellious hairs that did not want to stay in place, I'm just gluing them down, and now I'm taking my spoolie and just molding them in place. And you have to be quick with this because this glue dries very quick, so please make sure you either take a little bit at a time and work fast, or just try this on yourself first and then try it on the client. But now I'm proceeding to filling in the front of her brow. To shade in the front of her brows, I'm using my dark brown eyebrow pencil from Nicka K. I like to use a lighter shade at the front. Y'all already know this now. Come on, this is a thing that Keita does, but it just helps with the ombre. Also had a few wispy hairs at the front of her brow, so I'm just taking a little bit of my glue and making sure I mold them down in place as well. To clean up her brows, I'm going to be using my LA Girl Pro Concealer along with my Maybelline concealer. First, I'm going in with the Maybelline one because it's lighter, and I'm using it to clean up under her arch. I'm only going to be taking this concealer halfway, so once I've fully cleaned up under her arch, I'm just taking this buffing brush and I'm using it to buff out the concealer. And for the remainder of the way, I'm going to just be using my LA Girl Pro Concealer. look at this side-by-side comparison, y'all. Like, on fleek, not fleek. On fleek, not fleek. Now we about to get this on fleek, period. Now that the brows have both been cleaned up, I'm going to take my buffing brush and use it to buff out any excess concealer. For an eyeshadow base, I'm just using my Bperfect eyeshadow base. As you can see, I already applied it all over her lids. Now I'm just buffing it out using that same buffing brush that I used to buff out her eyebrows. And y'all, this is the technique that I use for a brown smoky eye. I would not do this technique for a black smoky eye just because I like my black smoky eyes to be very deep and intense. And for this one, this is more of like a natural glam look. So I'm just going in with a white base versus using a brown base or something. So yeah, I'm just patting it in place, as you can see. To start off the look, I'm taking this dark brown eyeshadow from my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going straight on her lids with this color, y'all. As you can see, I'm just packing it on, and I'm going to try to build up the color and pack it in a round shape as I go. So at this point, I had pretty much formed the shape that I would like. Now I'm just blending out the edges by tapping my brush against the shape. Now I'm going to be taking this red tone light brown shade. It's also from my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to be tapping this over the edges of the dark brown that we use. This color is going to serve as my transition. So to apply this to her eyes, I'm just using this fluffy blending brush, and I'm using it to build up my color, but I'm also using it to smoke this color out. To further blend everything out, I'm going back in with that dark brown shade, and I'm using it to blend around the edges. As you can see, I like to do like this packing technique and this swirling technique just to make sure everything is nice and blurred. And as y'all can see, I have a nice gradient blend. Now I'm about to do the same process on this eye. To make the inner corners of her eye pop, I'm going back in with my Bperfect base, and I'm just applying a small amount into the tear ducts of her eyes. Then I'm going to buff it out using my buffing brush. On top of the base, I'm going to be applying my Jlarue pigment in the color Bliss, and I'm just going to be tapping this on her inner tear ducts. Moving on to the face, I just took some makeup remover and used it to wipe away any fallen eyeshadow. Since we did a smoky eye, there should be plenty of fallen eyeshadow under her eyes, y'all. Now I'm just going to moisturize her face, and to moisturize her skin, I'm using my Pond's moisturizer. Now I'm taking my calamine lotion and I'm just going to focus it into the areas of her face that I feel will produce the most oil. For foundation, I'm going to be using my Fit Me foundation in the shades 338 and 368. So right here, I'm just working in the shade 368, and I took this foundation on majority of her face, y'all. I basically applied this all over her face, but y'all are gonna see the technique that I was talking about that I switched up in this video was really like my foundation and contour technique. So yeah, if you stayed this long, thank you. But as you can see, I'm just applying it to her face and I'm buffing it out using this foundation brush. Now I'm taking the shade 338 and I'm going to be applying this to all the high points of her face, you know, all the places where the lights hit the most. Everywhere where you would typically highlight, that's where I'm applying this foundation. I also decided to take this foundation underneath her cheekbones just to make it easier to contour once we got to that step. To contour, I'm using my Juvias Paste foundation stick in the shade Casina, and I just applied this to her cheekbones and I took it a little up towards the arch of her eyebrow. Now I'm just going to blend everything out using that same foundation brush. I'm going to start with the foundation and then just end with the contour. Now that everything is blended, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight her face. And to highlight her, I'm using my Nicka K concealer in the shade number 7. On the edge of shade number 7, I decided to go in with shade number 8 just to make it easier to blend out into the foundation. Before I blend everything out, I'm just going to spray her face using my setting spray. To blend everything, I'm going to be using my Real Techniques flat brush, and I'm just pressing it in place. To set the highlighted areas of her face, I went in with my Fit Me pressed powder, and it's in the shade medium beige. I'm just taking it on this Real Technique sponge and using it to press that powder in. Wanted her face to be a little bit more matte, so on top of this pressed powder, I went in with my Fenty loose powder, and it's in the shade Honey. To set the contoured areas of her face, I'm using this Black Radiance pressed powder in the shade Black Coffee, and I'm just taking it on this big powder brush. Y'all, I just ordered this brush and I love it so much. I can't wait to use it on myself, but I'm just using it to tap in this product. I'm taking an eyeshadow brush using that same Black Radiance press powder, and I'm using it to sculpt out her nose. To clean up under her contour, I'm going to be using another Fenty press powder, but this one is in the shade Hazelnut, and I'm just stamping it under her cheekbones. Now I'm working on her under eyes, and I went ahead and lined them with black gel liner. And now I'm taking some black eyeshadow mixed with a little bit of the dark brown eyeshadow that I used, and I'm using it to smoke out her lower lash line. I applied a little bit more of that Jlarue pigment into her inner tear ducts just because I felt like it was going away a little bit. Now I'm taking some blush from my Juvias Saharan blush palette, and I'm just applying it to the high points of her cheeks. Now that everything is set in stone, I'm just going to be pressing in any baking powder that I have resting on her face, and I'm pressing this powder in using the same foundation brush that I used to press out her foundation, y'all. This is the only way I know to prevent flashback. So if you're wondering why you keep having flashback in your pictures, just make sure you use this technique and you should be good to go. For lashes, I'm going in with these 25mm lashes that I ordered off AliExpress, and I did cut and shape these to fit her eye off camera, y'all. So by the time I had applied them to her eye, they didn't look anything like the ones in the package, but I may do a video on that, on how I customize lashes. I don't know, but as y'all can see, I'm just applying them to her eyes. I'm taking one of the shimmer eyeshadows from my Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm just using it to highlight her face. I'm gonna have her smile just so I can find the high points of her cheeks and highlight them. I used to do this a lot in the past, y'all, but I think now I like to do more of a natural highlight. But for the purpose of this video, I decided to do it this way since I'm trying to follow a new routine for this video. And as y'all can see, this eyeshadow was pigmented, okay? It was showing up. It was there, so I had to go ahead and blend it out using whatever residue I had left on that powder brush. Now I'm just going to be lining her lips, and I'm doing an ombre lip. As you should know, I'm doing an ombre lip, so I'm lining her lips using my LA Colors dark brown eyebrow pencil. Now I'm going in the center of her lips with this new lip gloss. I think this is from Absolute New York. It has to be, because that's like my all-time favorite. So I'm focusing this in the center of her lips, and then to help further blend it, I'm going to tell her to pat her lips, and I'm going to take whatever excess is left on that lip applicator and just spread it into the lip liner. I wanted her lips to be more glossy, so I'm just going on top of this concoction using some clear lip gloss. I applied some individuals to her lower lash line off camera, so once I'm finished applying her lip gloss, this will basically be the finished look. I decided to cut her grand reveal out of the video because she had a pretty nonchalant reaction, but this is a natural look, so instead I decided to just upload the videos that I took on my phone. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like to see more of my makeup content, feel free to visit my Instagram. Link will be in the description box below. Bye bye, queens.